Awesome. And thank you so much, Sherry, for hanging out today and sharing your story with us. I'm really excited. I know that we've been chatting about this on and off for a while, sharing your incredible story. Before we jump into your story, though, I would love to, well, hear more about your story, like the previous portion of your story. Like, how long have you had diabetes? What was diagnosis like? Are you on a pump or MDI? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, you haven't heard the whole story yet.
Oh,
So in 1999, I had to have major surgery. And they were, said, you've got to go to this doctor, that doctor, and we'll check you out. And they did blood work and they said, whoa, no surgery. You're diabetic. I said, what?
wow.
They said, yes, you are diabetic. Go to the diabetes doctor. Well, that took a little bit to get in there. I walk in his office and my sugar was like 297. He says, yeah, I think you are. And I already had feet that were tingling. So I had the start of neuropathy when they decided I had diabetes. So from looking back at my blood work, I think my diabetes started like 10 years before and nobody ever said a word.
Oh, wow.
And I just traveled on through until my feet started hurting. And then everything just blew up at once in 1999. So the doctor says, okay, I want you to go eat lunch. And then I want you to come back and we'll retest you and I'll be sure you're diabetic. So I went out and I had like a steak and a steak and a baked potato and a salad. And I come back and the nurse comes in and takes my blood sugar and she starts screaming, doctor, doctor, it's over 500. And I was going, what? I don't know what's going on. And they said, okay. And they handed me a stack of pamphlets, like an inch thick, said, go home and read these. You are going to be put on medicine. We're not going to try to put you on insulin right now, but you probably need it. So at first I was considered a type 2 diabetic until I didn't respond to any of the medicines at all. And I ended up going, I never really was MDI. I went straight to a pump.
Oh,
And yeah, the tandem pumps. I've always been on tandem. And because I had a doctor, this doctor was wacky. Let me tell you, I wanted away from him. He sent me to a nutritionist that said, okay, we're going to set up what you can eat. I said, okay, what is it? They said, anything you want, just bolus for it. I said, what does that mean? Oh, give yourself insulin and then keep going and just eat your meal and be happy. And I'm going, y'all are nuts. I can't believe it's that simple. So I found another doctor and he luckily was on the tandem pump and he was diabetic, but
wow.
he didn't teach me anything. I couldn't believe it. He was old. And I don't know if that's his excuse, but he would say, yeah, your yogurt can't have just 10 carbs. I said, we make homemade yogurt. It's just counting the milk. We don't put anything in it. No, it's got to be 37 carbs now. So we didn't see eye to eye. He set my pump and told me not to touch it, to leave it alone.
Oh, wow.
I went for years. I was with him several years, and then I finally found the one that I'm going to now, who's a dream, but he doesn't sit and discuss all of this either. So he's just, overwhelmed right now at what I've done. But I went to this doctor and I started, I was eating anything I wanted to. I ate desserts. My sugars stayed in the between 250 and 500.
Mm.
And that's where it just floated constantly. My feet got worse
Yeah.
and it just kept rolling downhill and I didn't know what to do. And I would cut out desserts for a while, and then I'd start craving them, and I didn't see any change in my sugar, and it was just a roller coaster. So I went on and I said, I'm going to end up in the hospital with this like it's going. So I went to the new doctor and he said, okay, I'm a Medtronics guy, but I think I can figure out your pump. And I said, you don't do tandem pumps? No, not really. All my patients have Medtronics. And I'm going,
Mm.
okay. So he says, I'd really like to get you on one, but there's tests that they have to run blood work, and I could never pass the test for the Medtronics. I'd be point 0.1 off, and
Mm.
Medicare wouldn't pay for it.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So out of pocket, I have put out twice for a pump just to be able to get one.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've stayed with Tandem, and I was thrilled to death when Tandem came out with their new Dexcom system set up and the CGI and everything. And my doctor knew I was going to go to it. But even going to this doctor, though, he'd say, look at your pie chart. I said, what does that mean? He says, you need to eat more carbs. I
Mm.
said, okay. I just bolus for them. Yeah, you just bolus for them. Eat more carbs, then the pie chart will look a little better. And then he might make an adjustment on my pump and not tell me what he's doing or why.
Mm.
And I didn't understand my pump at all. I just thought it's a piece of equipment that I'm not allowed to touch. If I mess with it, I'm going to mess with me.
Right.
So I never, in all those years, I never touched the pump until I met you.
Wow.
So when you started teaching me how to use the pump and what bolus and what all the terms mean and basal rate and everything, I was just floored. That's why I had so much difficulty in the beginning trying to get my basal right, because I couldn't wrap my head around what you were trying to teach me. I
Mm.
was just that stubborn in my head, I guess. So my husband and I would sit and lay it out and write it down and we worked really hard trying to figure out the basal. Once it clicked, it was like light bulbs came on. And I said, this really works. And I started doing all of my calculations, setting my pump, and and we got on a call together at the beginning, and you asked me, what is your goal? And I said, I want to be as good as you are. And you said, well, we can't shoot for 100%. And I said, I know that, but I still want to be where you are. And I remember you saying, let's shoot for 50%. And I said, okay, we'll shoot for 50.
To
I
start.
went I went straight up from 40 to 100%. That's how determined I was. I did not want to be told I couldn't do this, I guess. I'm just stubborn that way. But I applied everything you said. I listened to all the coaching calls I was on to hear what other people were struggling. And I felt really bad about the coaching calls because I was sitting there at 100% and it was running smoothly. And I was eating okay. I didn't have a problem. I wasn't eating everything I wanted to, but I was eating and I was satisfied. But everybody was struggling so bad and trying to get in range and everything that I just felt like I needed to keep my mouth shut. That's why I didn't talk, because I didn't want them to be upset with me getting to be 100% when you're trying to teach us so hard how to get in range. So I thought I'd be detrimental to the whole thing. Now I figured out I'll be more help than detriment. So
Yeah, it's an inspiration, right? To hear how far people have gone, and we're all on our own journey, our own timelines. Some people are pretty quick, like you. Some people take a little bit more time. There's more damage control, for lack of a better term, to figure out the basals and bolus. And I remember shooting for like the lower numbers initially with you, like say, okay, first goal is 50%, then we can aim for 70, and then we can aim, and you're like, nope, 100. You went for it.
and you go, no, you didn't. I said, yes, I did. I
But yeah,
remember that so well.
it was incredible hearing that happen the first time, of many, of course. And I know before the program, obviously, I think it was about 40% that you were in range. Is that right?
40% if I was
So,
lucky.
yeah. So what were the main struggles that you would say before joining the program that you were experiencing? What were you trying to work on?
My pump was so far off, it was not even funny. I could not believe how it was set. And I had to come down in increments because I was set so whacked out in ranges. So I came down, like you said, every 2 to 3 days in increments to get it to come back down. And I was determined I was going to count my carbs and count them. I didn't know I had to count my fats and proteins at the time, but I was counting my carbs and eating low carb. I wasn't on any particular diet. I wanted to lose weight, and that sort of came along with it because I cut back all this food. I wasn't eating desserts every meal, and the sweets did go away, but I didn't miss them because I was doing okay and my numbers were improving that I was so excited I couldn't stand it. So I started out with when we started out the program, my A1C was 10.8. Today it's 5.5.
That is just incredible. I mean, you halved it, basically.
I did. I
Wow. I
did.
mean, how does that feel for you? Is that a stark difference where you see the big changes and improvements, or you're just like, oh yeah, it's part of the deal?
Oh no, I still get goosebumps now when I think about it. I still keep the piece of paper handy that shows 5.5, so I really know it's true. And
Yeah.
my doctor's going, this can't be right. It can't be. I've never had a patient do what you've done. I've never had a patient take control of their pump and get everything done like you have. And he said, I got to sit down. I'm just in shock. And he was just floored. And the second time I went to see him while on the program is when I went to 6.6 first, and then the next one was 5.5.
Mhm.
And he said, are you having too many lows? That's what's worrying me. I feel
Right.
like with this number, you're staying low. Well, Tandem's graph showed I was staying low 14% of the time. And I said, no, look, I printed out every log for you. And 2 times I hit the bottom. I didn't go below. I just hit it. And he said, then I'm not worrying. He says, if you can maintain this, he said, you know what to do. If you can't, you call me and we'll figure out what's going on. So he said I was in excellent hands with you.
Wow. Well,
And
I'm
I want
excited to do that.
yes, I want everybody to know that because everybody can do what I did. It's not that hard once you understand your pump and you understand your food. And if you start out with not on a special diet, but just eating lower carbs and watching your meats and your fats, then your numbers are going to play where they should play, I think. And
Yeah,
from
I
what
think
you taught us.
yeah. I think what's incredible about that too is you mentioned you brought it down to a 5.5 A1C and you didn't have any lows. Is that what I heard? Heard?
I had 2 lows
Two
that
lows.
bumped that low line. That's all
Ah,
it did was bump one little bubble on that line and then it
oh.
went back up.
So a little boop, okay, we're fine. And
That's right.
that's it. Wow. That is incredible. I mean, I'm speechless because a 5.5 with basically no low blood sugars is unheard of, but you've accomplished that. So that's incredible. Oh man. And it sounds like your doctor was thrilled as well.
Yes.
Shocked, but thrilled.
Yes, he is really thrilled. He says I am his model patient now.
Oh,
So anyway, because I see who comes in his office and I see them and they're overweight and they're old and they're having trouble walking and their hands and fingers are blue from being stuck so many times. And I just feel so bad for these people when I know after being taught that they can get help. And I wish there was a way that everybody could be taught by you so that everybody would be a good diabetic. I know that's impossible, but still, I'd like to see that happen in this world.
I would love that too. If there's a way, if anyone knows a way, comment below that I can help more
Yes.
people. That would be amazing. I know that would be
Yes.
incredible. And I mean, obviously, before you were working with us, you probably didn't know me at all, right? I was just some stranger on the internet. So, I mean, what made you take a chance to work with us?
I started looking as to how to set up my new pump that I got.
Mm.
I've got the latest, and I didn't know how to set up the Dexcom, and I had to wait for the lady to come from Nashville to Huntsville in order to teach me how to do it. And she was all tied up, and I was impatient. So I started, imagine that. I started looking on the internet, and Lane says, go to YouTube and start listening to what they have to say. And then I started doing that, and I found you, and I started listening, and you made so much sense. You taught me how to put my steel needle in. You've taught me everything, literally. And it's come from watching you and listening to you on YouTube. Your YouTube videos are amazingly wonderful and helpful. And when you demonstrate something and show how to put on like the skin grip patch one-handed, because I'm sitting there going, Lane, don't mess it up. It's going to get wrinkled.
Right.
Because I couldn't do it myself, but I saw you could. So that meant I could do that.
Mm.
And it's just been incredible to see what can be accomplished. And I did research you. We both checked you out thoroughly to see what you were all about before I jumped in there to join in the group. And what we found was nothing but just stars everywhere. So you really had a high approval rating. And I've heard other people say that too. And it just pleases me when they do, because that's how I found you. And that's the way I've been taught now. And you have been just phenomenal. You're a lucky human being to be able to teach all these people all this stuff.
Oh,
You're
100%.
lucky. Yeah, you're lucky to take care of yourself the way you do. I admire that so much, and how you tested on yourself everything. Because I thought, okay, maybe I need to go keto. Maybe I don't. He's been telling me we don't really need to go keto. So, I have some of the keto snacks because they work well for me. They don't cause a big bump, and I can eat something if I need something little.
Mhm.
The energy bars your friend makes are wonderful. They are my breakfast. Before
Oh.
I walk, I take one of those because my blood sugar will be around 100, 110.
Mhm.
I'll eat one of those, go walk on the treadmill, and I don't go high. I just maintain so that after that, I can go on for the morning and then eat lunch and running normal. But those are just lifesavers. I just think they're wonderful. And
Love that.
I didn't try any of those other energy bars. Once I found them, they're
Mhm.
delicious too.
They
I have,
are.
yes,
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you got a chance to research us beforehand. And I feel like I should do that now. I haven't looked up our reviews in a long time, but it sounds like they're good. So I'm happy to hear that.
yes, yes, they are
Oh,
good.
man. And
And
I mean, oh, go ahead.
you go ahead.
I was just say, kind of talking about the program and, going through it yourself. I'm curious, was there a moment where you were like, this is what the reviews were talking about? It's working for me. Like, was there a specific moment or was it just kind of overall?
I had several aha moments
Hmm.
when all of a sudden my blood sugar wasn't in the 40% range. It jumped, and I'm going, aha, so that's how you do that. And then I would see a low coming, and I knew you taught me eat something, take your juice or take the sugar tabs and avert that low coming. And then when the highs would start trying, that's where it's got me so far, is the proteins and fats cause me to go higher than I want to go. I'm not going out of range, but they
Mhm.
cause me higher, and I see the delayed reaction. You're teaching me now. I'm learning, still learning, so everybody can keep learning. Just keep making videos because we keep learning as you go.
Love that. Yeah, speaking of, I just added some new content to the members area in the program. So I'll have to talk to you about that. But there's new stuff going up all the time. Uh,
Good.
yeah, always got to stay cutting edge. So Glad to hear that there were multiple aha moments for you though. And then you mentioned jumping to 100%, like from 40 to 100. I mean, first of all, have you been able to maintain that 100%? Or is that like a
Um,
one-time thing?
Almost all the time. It's 100% right now. I'm sitting at 105
Whew, wow. That is incredible. How long have you been keeping it at 100?
weeks, weeks.
I think you accomplished better than what I did. You talked about your first goal was, I just want to be like you. You've surpassed me 100% for weeks.
But you take risk and you check things out for us so that you go a little high, you go a little low. So you're not sitting right there even keel all the time, which it's another aha moment. He went high, so it's okay if I go high.
Hmm.
Because
Absolutely.
he's brought it back down and he said it's a moment in time. So, that walking, my secret is the walking. And then after I eat lunch, I drink a huge amount of water.
Mm,
And that has kept any of my sugars from going up. I just kind of stayed level at around 120 and
wow.
cruise through there. Now I can't do that at night because I don't want to stay up all night. So
Right.
that's when the treadmill and I'm watching TV and go, uh-oh, gotta go. I jump up and go walk on the treadmill for 25, 30 minutes and get back calm down where it should be. But I keep a close eye on it. I'm not a person that has to just constantly watch it, but I am
Mhm.
constantly aware during the day of where I am, just so that I don't mess up. And if I feel a little funny, I'll check it to make sure nothing's going on. Used to, I felt so normal at 400. It
Mm,
was unbelievable. That felt normal to me.
wow.
Now, if I get to 200, I start getting chills and shakes and everything, just I break out in sweat and I'm going, why is
Right.
this happening? But then I've heard you talk about that too. So I knew that that was common. And then the lows, I have had a low that went down to 40. And this has been way back toward the beginning, but it went down to 40 and we couldn't figure out a reason whatsoever. And boy, I was sick. And it was like you were talking about, it hits you hard.
Mm.
So my doctor gave me the little nose thing. I can't pronounce the name. You know what it is.
Yep.
And he said, in case you do, use it.
Right.
Only, the only thing that bothers me is if I use it, it says you have to go to the hospital. I'm going, why? If my sugar goes up, I don't see why I have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So I take it kind of in hand, but I haven't been there, so I don't know.
Well,
Haven't had to
yeah.
use
I
it.
mean, you said it's been a while since you've hit 40. That was a long time ago, beginning of the program. And then recently the 100% for weeks on end. I mean, what's it been like in comparison? Like, how do you feel now that that problem is solved?
Oh, it's like night and day.
Mm,
I had no energy. I'm getting my energy back. I was fatigued all the time. I wanted to sleep. I didn't feel good and I didn't realize it. And now, I've got purpose on getting up, even though all this pandemic is going around and everything. I don't really go anywhere because I'm scared to.
mm,
And, I told my doctor, I said, I'm scared of dying if I get this. My platelets are low and I've got some other things. And I said, I'm afraid that it'll hit me and my pneumonia shot didn't work. So I'm afraid I'll get pneumonia. So I stay secluded a lot.
mm.
And that's why I got a treadmill. And I still don't have the strength. I was losing so much strength in my legs because I didn't feel like moving.
Mm.
And I could not. I can sit and walk on that treadmill for an hour and still keep going, but I can't walk up and down. I get on the incline with it, but because you told me to, and I can't go outside and walk. We've got kind of hills around here, and I can't walk them without holding on to something. My
Mm,
legs will not let me. I can walk on in a store holding on to a buggy, but take my buggy away, I don't have the stamina to walk very far. I don't understand that. But it has to do with something with the neuropathy, because I'm feeling neuropathy in my hands, and I've got retinopathy. So it's diabetes is taking a huge toll on me.
mm,
So that's why I was so desperate to find a solution. And I said, I don't think I can do this all by myself. And that's when I was looking, and you just came in like a bright shining star. And I remember I was just bouncing around telling my husband, I'm so excited I found him. What is his credentials? I said, oh, he's great. He's great. Oh, he's going to be he's it. He's it. And he's calming me down, and I'm just bubbling everywhere. And it turned out I was right. You are. You are just the top.
wow. I am thrilled to see how far you've come and obviously all the results that you've been able to work towards and accomplish, with your efforts. I mean, it's mind blowing. The place that you started at, and now you're here. It's just completely different numbers and completely different scenarios with your diabetes. You're turning it around. You're taking control over it. And it's incredible. It's inspiring. I'm curious, looking back at where you were before the program and kind of how life was going. What advice would you give to another diabetic who was in your shoes back then, who might be considering jumping into a program like this?
To go and look and see online your credentials and check you out. Watch your videos before they do anything. Start watching your videos. They'll get a feel for the program. And then if they can do the program, that's what I highly recommend. So they can you can hold their hand and walk them through it and walk me down the road like you did. If you can do them like you did me, then I don't see why they shouldn't have the success that I did.
Hmm,
Unless they're not determined. Now, you've got some that are just, they've got excuses. I didn't give any excuses.
that is true. That's important.
Yes, yes, that is true. People do have excuses, and that's just part of life.
Hmm.
But, I decided I wasn't going to have an excuse, because Lane would look at me and say, are you eating that cake? Nope, not touching that cake. And my daughter is just, she's overweight too, and probably pre-diabetic from what I've heard. She won't say, but she is starting to cook. When she fixes meals to bring to us, she's cooking what I can eat now. And she is just dumbfounded by the way I've turned my life around, because she just practically had me in the grave, literally.
Yeah.
She didn't think I was going to live very long. And she was just very sincere about that. And now I just had a birthday. She made me a sugar-free cheesecake that was to die for.
All right.
But I froze it in little bitty slices because it's got too many calories for me to lose weight on, but we'll eat it at Christmas time. It's a special thing. But she researched like monk fruit. You
Hmm.
don't use the granulated to cook with. You get the powdered sugar version to cook
Mm,
with. And she did all that research. And that's important when people, they see all these recipes made with like monk fruit, then
right.
they can go and get the powdered sugar version, and theirs are going to come out and taste good. But
There
I
you
don't
go.
want them to go eat tons of it. That's the thing.
Very true. Yeah. Everything in moderation. You can still enjoy life, but no reason to eat cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I
But I
could do
love
that,
that.
but no.
Yeah, I mean, we could figure it out, but why, right? No, I
Right.
love those distinctions. And yeah, 100% agree. For anybody who would be curious about working with me or with anybody, honestly, do your research, go watch their videos, see what they're all about, and then you can kind of see if it's the right road for you. I completely agree with that. And actually, since obviously you did take that road, go through the program, do you have like a golden nugget that you gained from the program that you'd want to share with people watching? Whether it's like a mindset thing or something that stuck out to you as a big pivotal moment for you? Anything like that?
The pivotal moment is when I reached the point I understood my pump. You've
Mm,
got to understand the pump. No matter how much you try to set basal and all of that, you've got to understand why and what it does and how it does. And that was a pivotal golden moment for me. When that hit, it was like just the heavens opened up, and I'm going, I can see now, I can understand. It's making sense. Everything started making sense that you talked to me about. And it was just that was a wonderful moment. But getting in with you, I don't want people to be standoffish like I was and not talk. This group I'm in now with you is good about talking. I think that's great. Getting to talk to you and learn at the same time is priceless. I think it's just something that you put in your pocket and you hang on to dearly.
that's amazing. And I would agree with you. I love our group so much. They're a wonderful collection of people who are driven, but also very open. And it's just this incredible conversation about real life with diabetes. It's turned into something that's very special. So I agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean, anything else that is on your mind that you'd want to share?
Just to go research you and look at your videos, go on YouTube and spend the time for yourself, because you've got to take the time. This is me time now. I've always given my time to everybody else, and
Hmm.
everybody else came first. Animals, husbands, everything. Now I've got to have time for me, and you are my time for me. And I love it. Everybody knows to leave me alone when I'm watching your videos. Because they're so informative, and they spin you up and they get you going. And like if you have a down day, it's nothing like being pumped up when you get all excited about something. I love to watch you get excited.
Yeah, get a little fired up sometimes about diabetes. It's a passionate topic. But yeah, that's an amazing thought. And I appreciate you sharing that. And I mean, overall, Sherry, really, really proud of you for everything you have accomplished. You've come incredibly far. You've shocked your doctor, probably went home and told his family about how incredible the change was. And so, really wanted just to say that I'm proud of you for that work that you put in. Like you said, you didn't have excuses. You just sat down and did the work. And as a result, massive, massive improvements that surpass what most people even believe is possible. So I just want to thank you for sharing your story, for inspiring those who are watching to show them what is possible, that they can turn their lives around and thrive with diabetes. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day, to share your story with us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I always love talking to you.
Oh, you're too kind. Well, thank you again. Yeah, just for sharing your story and for spending this time with me so we can dive deeper into the full story of your diagnosis and what that was like for you, and of course, what you've been able to accomplish. And everybody else who is watching, if you are curious about finding more videos, obviously you can find us over on YouTube at FTF Warrior. There's hundreds of videos over there that I'm sure you can have some fun watching. There's some goofy ones and some educational ones. But if you are someone who has watched the videos and just wants to dive into the educational content, there's a free training that I believe actually Sherry probably watched initially that brought her into our world, where I go over basal, bolus, exercise, nutrition, all that stuff. And that's going to be over at diabetesinaction.com. And that's the most direct path to getting that info, but also to working with us and see if it's a good fit. So, Sherry, thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate it. And I cannot wait to see what the next steps are for you for more control, more freedom, and just this incredible life you've built with diabetes.
Me
So,
too.
yeah,
I'm
thank you
looking
so much.
forward to it.
Absolutely. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. It's been great hanging out with you, and keep up the fight.